time. It is 10:20. I almost did this the way we've been doing it. It's egg cutting day, and I was like, "Fuck it." It's 10:30. I just want to go to bed. Let's just, So I'm gonna tell you, this is gonna be quick. As soon as we get some people on, Caleb's gonna let me know. We're gonna roll through this because there's really, there's no plan. I don't want to be up super late. I gotta get up in the morning. I got shit to do, but this is part of the business, right? This is part of the work that we do. So here I am, 10:30 at night. Time to cut some eggs. And I'll explain why we're cutting these a little early on them. Maybe a day or two earlier than I would like to be, but there's a reason for it. Do we have anybody who's shown up yet?
Not yet.
Or not yet?
Not yet. Oh, no, we got 5.
5. Whew.
I'm not seeing comments yet.
Sometimes they don't show well.
9.
No comments yet?
No comments. Let me put all visible.
Yeah, make all visible. See everybody. We don't discriminate here.
Waiting.
When we get to 15, we're going to roll.
Okay. We're at 9.
9.
9.
Okay.
Up there, starting to see some messages.
All right.
There we go.
Awesome. I'm assuming I'm on my actual YouTube. I didn't put this on Patreon. I made it public, I hope. So anyway, 9's good enough. It's late at night. Nobody's up.
There's 13.
13?
Yeah.
Or call that a day. So, I'm tired. So what do we have here? Well, this is a small clutch. It was a first-time mom. And we only had 3 total eggs. This is Blackhead Suma, okay? So some really exciting possibilities there for me for what I want to do long-term. Blackhead Suma together, I don't think it's going to look too great by itself, but what it can do will be awesome. Well, she laid me, get this, looking at my numbers, 3 eggs and 4 slugs, and they were the ugliest, shittiest looking ball python eggs I think I've ever had. So one of them died, and this is what the other 2 look like even they've gone full term. I think she might have pooped on them. I don't know what she did. They're horrid looking. So it's time to cut them. They're pretty much at their due date. And we're going to go ahead and get that done. The reason we're going to go ahead and do it now is I'm traveling. And I want to make sure, since we already had some losses in there, probably add a little bit of moisture to these too. We're all said and done. That these eggs have a chance because it's just all gone wrong. So I want to give them an opening, see what we did. We're going to go with this one first. The reason we're going to do it first is because it's the one that I have the least hope in. It's just, these just look terrible.
Yeah, definitely should be interesting.
The funny thing is, it feels good when we cut it, and there's a little bit of blood there. That's good. There's definitely a snake in here. Surprise, surprise. Give that thing an exit. And there it is. Now, can I get a little movement? Oh, there was a flinch. It doesn't really seem to mind me poking on it. Oh, there's a good flinch. So, everything in here will be at minimum, has to be mahogany. So what we really want is the combo. So far, 1 for 1, alive and well.
That is actually a question I can answer. Unfortunately, no one here will be at Tinley.
Nope. I don't know when Tinley is this year.
That's in 2 weeks.
It's in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Well, I will not be there. Oh, that looked a little bit weird at first. But now I understand what I'm seeing. It's better. Sometimes your first flash of what you see is a what the hell moment. It's kind of a cool snake. So what I was seeing at first was the bottom of the jaw, and I was like, oh man, what's the deal? But then, we can see. So that thing, there's good movement in there. And I think that one is probably a blackhead mahogany. Be my guess. Just because the way the pattern's linked up, it's going to be pretty dark when it comes out. Mm-hmm. So we got 2 eggs. We got 2 babies. Nothing too exciting there, right? Not like we had the 10 eggs you'd want or anything.
Hit the odds exactly.
We probably hit the odds exactly. we're gonna have to hope for the sex also. So I do want, even though it's not an impressive combo in just itself and how it looks, I wanted a blackhead mahogany female to pair back to my Suma to go with Suma blackhead. Again, darkening genes. We're going to try to make jet black. That's what we're working towards. I know it's been done with GHI, and it's really, really cool. We'll probably also work towards that. But I also wanted to add things like black pastel in there, a few other things to kind of get that ball rolling. Disappointing egg numbers, and it always kind of works out. We always talk about the odds always work out, right? Well, we're pretty much done having eggs this year. So we ran our numbers because it's like the end of the year. We're just getting killed with slugs and junk like that. What the hell, that just don't do that, computer. And when you run the numbers, it was funny. It worked out exactly like it was supposed to. Our slug rate was well within our normal reason. Our live hatch rates look like something our normal reason. We did have a couple deformed clutches. That we had one that only had 2 eggs. And they both ended up being deformed after we cut them, and they never could come out all the way because their tails were clubbed and they're messed up, and they end up perishing. So we have had a few of those things happen, which is going to happen, and we'll share those with you on updates as well because we don't hide anything. But so yeah, and it's par for the course. Those first-year moms. First-year moms, gotta love them. Caleb's got something to say.
Few questions
Sure.
we've got going on.
Sure.
Jack's as this BP, so I'm gonna guess Jack's ball pythons. Why no interest in Tinley this year? I'm gonna guess just schedule.
Yeah, so here's the thing, man. Tinley for me is a long trip, and unless I'm gonna make money, I'm probably not gonna make that trip, right? And especially when I have to take off from my day jobs, and taking off my day job right now sucks because there's this big payout check at the end, and that lowers that. So I'm trying not to do that any more than I normally would. And we don't have enough stuff to go sell. Like everything's sold on Patreon. We have very few babies that didn't sell on Patreon. I think maybe a total of like 8 to 10. I'm not going to drive to Tinley to show 8 to 10 babies. Now I could go to Tinley just to film and go hang out and have some fun, which would be a blast. And I'm not completely opposed to that, but I'm opposed to that right now due to my schedule I'm trying to achieve. I don't have a lot of free time. So that's why you're not getting interest in Tinley this year. And if I had to choose one large show to go to, just to go to, honestly, it's not going to be Tinley. It's going to be Daytona. And that's not a rip on Tinley, not a knock on Tinley. It's a simple fact that I have family that lives in Daytona. So if I'm going to make that trip to one big show a year just to go, I'm going to choose Daytona so I can also visit my family. I don't have any family in Chicago, and Chicago to me is just another place. I don't really give 2 rips about it. No offense to anybody who lives there. I'm sure whoever lives in Chicago doesn't give 2 rips about Manhattan either, and that's fine. But I'm not ever going to make a trip to Chicago that's not a business-only trip. Because it's just Chicago. Anything else?
At around what age is it too late to breed a female for the first time? From Rain.
Rain, I don't really know. I mean, that's, if it's healthy, I'd say go for it. I mean, if you got something over 15 to 20, you may think twice about it, but there have been snakes documented having their first clutch at well older than that. As long as everything's looking good. I'm a little bit gun shy on it past that because we did that once not knowing how old the female was. Tracked her back to be at least 15, and she went egg bound on her first clutch, and ultimately it killed her. And that was a carpet python, not a ball python, but still I felt responsible. So, I don't know if there's a set limit sort of set in stone. It's more about the health of the animal. So, and shit's gonna happen. So it's like people, the older they get, I would imagine there's a higher rate of shit happening. There's a higher rate of shit happening with first-year moms making fugly eggs like this. But just if you want to do it, go for it. Just know there's going to be some risk, I guess, is the best answer I got for you. Anything else, Ree?
No, doesn't look like it.
All right, that was a nice and easy one. We're going to go ahead and slide off here. We're going to go, it's almost 11 o'clock at night, so Patreon already did a video today. We probably won't do a live there, but I will definitely be doing a live tomorrow with you, Patreon, because we're going to have our special.
Francis says she has a question.
Sure, Francis.
Waiting on that question.
Waiting on that question.
Are
Are you sure, Francis, we're saying she? Because Francis is one of those
Photo
names.
looks like a female. I guess I apologize for assuming.
You're assuming gender. Francis is like Jordan. It's like old school Jordan. It could go either way.
So while we wait on that question. Edwin asked, what do you think about power feeding?
So, when it comes to power feeding, we got to define what we're talking about. If we're talking about feeding the right size meal once a week to your snake, that's not power feeding. That's what I think you ought to be doing if you're breeding. If you're not breeding, you can slow that down to every other week, to be honest. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. Chain feeding, force feeding, those kind of things to try to force that snake to size or force it to gain weight too fast, trying to overfeed too large of an animal just because it'll take it. I'm kind of against that. There's a time and a place for everything. Trying to get a female to size as quick as possible is not the solution. Now, some of them will get there in 2 years naturally. Some will take 4. Just let it run its course. Feed appropriately. There are times when I have females who are eating really well that have weighed and lost a lot of weight. That if they look like they want a second meal, I may give it to them in the same setting. I don't really consider that power feeding. It's trying not to make them get bigger. I'm trying to get them back on weight, and they obviously know what they're doing. I'm not trying to take a young snake and just make it fat, because the reason for that is if you overdo it, you can cause some health issues down the road with like fatty liver and things like that. So I'm not a big fan of power feeding. Appropriate size meal once a week, you're doing just fine. Do we get the other question?
Yes.
You're
Oldest
counting on your hands.
oldest female turned 2 in August and is over 1,500 grams. Is it safe to breed her?
I'd do it. I care,
That's 2 years and 4 months. That's
Yeah, I got to
that's-
be careful. I say one time I said there's, people talking about breeding and, talking about weights and whatnot. I made the comment there's no scales in Africa, which is an old comment I heard 100 times. Some dude from South Africa, all kinds of pissed off at me, tried to explain to me that South Africa is not a third world country, which I'm well aware of. It was in reference to snakes running around the wild. Don't go on a scale. You know what I mean? It's just. But I think at 1,500 years, they're also not checking age IDs in Africa. Ball pythons aren't. Other people should be. But ball pythons aren't checking age IDs. So if you've got a snake that's appropriate size at 2 years, go ahead and breed it. I've done that myself and been successful with it.
would it be a good idea to breed it to a 1-year-old male? He has a leopard orange dream Enchi.
Sure. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. Now, if you've got a more experienced male that knows what the hell he's doing, you got a higher odds, right? If that's a male you want to pair with, pair it. And if he figures it out, awesome. If he doesn't figure it out, there's an old video we did a long time ago that'll show you some tips and tricks to get that male to breed. Some of them are kind of gross, like take an adult male, like shoulder, pop him, get a sperm plug on my thumb and wipe it down the female's back. Basically, there's a sperm plug from their male in there. That new male, that young male, is going to find that male's not home and try to sneak one in. Well, he can, He's going to be the milkman, come in the back door, get one done, drop off, and leave. And that's what you're kind of trying to get. Another way is an old-fashioned trick of taking a very good breeder male's shed, throwing it in the tub with the female, putting the male you want to breed in there. As a last resort, you put both males in the tub with the female. You sit there, okay? You sit there. Don't run away. Don't set a timer for 30 minutes. Stay right the hell there. Put both males in, close that tub, and if you start to hear some thunking, open the tub, remove the male you don't want to breed, put him directly to a female you want him to breed, because he's gonna pay the bill now. And the hope is that new male gets a little confidence, feels like he won something, and breeds a female. If you walk away, that bigger male is going to beat the living hell out of your small male. So don't do that. And if you put them in there together and you don't hear any thumping for, say, a minute, like you don't hear a noise, go ahead and move that big male out anyway. And sometimes that'll be enough for the small male to breed. So that's a few tips and tricks that you can use to get that little guy going. Anything else before we get off of here?
Nope, no other questions.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. It's so late. We are going to skip the live on Patreon today and do a live tomorrow, because tomorrow is our special sale. And for those Patreon members who caught our live here today, let me give you a hint about tomorrow's special. I will tell you, whatever it is will never, ever, ever, ever make it normal. So there's your hint for tomorrow's special if you read it. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all next time.